From Time Magazine, June 13th, 2020. 2 black trans women were killed in the U.S. in the past week as Trump revokes discrimination protection for trans people. 2 black trans women, Riah Milton in Ohio and Dominique Rem'Mie Falls in Pennsylvania, were killed earlier this week amid an increasing outcry from activists to protect black trans people as the Trump administration reversed protections for transgendered people in the U.S. healthcare system. According to local authorities, Milton was shot and killed during a robbery in Liberty Township, Ohio on June 9th. According to the LGBTQ+ advocacy group, the Human Rights Campaign, the 25-year-old Milton worked as a home health aide and attended the University of Cincinnati. 2 people have been arrested and charged with her murder. A third man, Tyree Cross, has not been apprehended, according to local police. Only a day earlier, on June 8th, Dominique Rem'Mie Falls was found in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Philadelphia Police Department confirmed to Time. On Friday, her death was ruled a homicide, and the investigation is still ongoing. The pain of such a loss is always difficult, but it is especially deep as we are in the midst of Pride Month, a season typically filled with joy and celebration for many in our community. The Philadelphia Office of LGBTQ Affairs said in a statement, Milton and Fell's death come amidst mass protests in the U.S. and in the world against systemic racism, police brutality, and which demands systemic change to address how people of color, specifically black people, are treated. While we're talking about racism, while we're talking about the changes that need to be done in this country, we need to talk about the hate towards trans people, particularly towards black trans women. Deja Lynn Alvarez, a trans activist and advocate in Philadelphia, tells Time. When Alvarez, a 47-year-old Latina trans woman, learned of Fell's death, one of her first thoughts was, "No, not again," she said. Black trans women are being murdered at an incredibly high rate. Being someone from the community, it feels like it's almost every other day at this point. Transgender women of color, particularly black transgender women, are disproportionately affected by fatal violence, impacted by the intersection of racism, sexism, homophobia, biphobia, and transphobia, according to an HRC report. Including Fells and Milton, at least 14 transgender or gender non-conforming people have been violently killed in 2020 alone, per HRC. In 2019, at least 26 transgender or gender non-conforming people were violently killed, the majority of whom were black transgender women. Over 130 transgender or gender non-conforming people were killed between 2013 and 2018, according to HRC. The numbers may be even higher. The killing of transgender or gender non-conforming people often goes unreported or misreported, advocates say. As our country faces a long overdue reckoning with the violence and indignities that black people have dealt with for centuries, we must affirm that black trans lives matter, HRC President Alfonso David said in a statement on Friday. And we must do everything we can to ensure that we create policies and laws that uplift our transgender siblings and communities where transgendered people are targeted for who they are. Over the past week, politicians, activists, and advocacy groups have spoken out against the killings of Fells and Milton. Heartbroken over our sisters. Rest in power, Dominique Rem'Mie Fells and Riah Milton, the official Black Lives Matter Twitter page wrote on Friday. The murder of black trans women is a crisis. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren also tweeted. Her fellow Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey also wrote, "We are indebted to the Black trans activists who paved the way for today's LGBTQ Pride Plus celebrations. But in the wake of 2 murders this week of Riah Milton and Rem'Mie Fells, we must recognize that we have not done enough to protect the trans community and Black trans women." Fells and Milton's death come the same week that Trump administration finalized regulations overturning Obama-era protections for LGBTQ plus people in the healthcare system. The new regulation defines gender as a biological sex, and it would allow insurance companies to deny coverage for transition-related treatments. HRC and the American Civil Liberties Union have both said they will sue the administration to block the regulation. The regulatory change was announced on Friday, the 4th anniversary of the Pulse nightclub mass shooting in which 49 people were killed in one of the worst acts of anti-LGBTQ plus violence in the U.S. history. There are currently very few federal protections for transgender or gender nonconforming people in the U.S., and the Trump administration has repeatedly pushed back against the little that do exist. When does this country live up to what it claims to be? Alvarez tells Time, explaining that she believes federal protections and adequate resources must be allocated to protect LGBTQ people in the U.S. How is this the land of the free? Time magazine. Beautiful.
And let's give her some water. Black trans women matter.
Black trans women matter.
Black lives matter.
Black lives matter.
Black trans men matter.
Black trans men matter.
Black women matter.
Black women matter.
Black men matter.
Black men matter.
Black people matter.
Black people matter. Black children matter.
They will be remembered here. And we'll continue to fight for them. I'll put some petitions in the bio that you can sign below, so just click on the description to sign petitions for Black trans women everywhere.
Nice.
And these are the rocks that came out. Look how big this one is.
Wow.
So I'll be writing their names on here to place next to them.
Beautiful.
And also, just wanted to take a second to acknowledge Rayshard Brooks, who had passed.
Yeah.
And I will soon be adding something in his name too.
Yeah. Sending love to his family. 3 daughters.
It's so heartbreaking, especially when it tears up a family.
Yeah.
I'll put petitions for him in the bio too.
Yeah. Too much. Too much.
This has happened in the past week. There's been several lynchings on trees of Black people throughout the U.S. Rayshard Brooks, it's just, there's a new name almost every day.
Every day.
Even though it's exhausting, educate yourself on their stories and their names and sign each of their petitions.
It's the least we can do.
And if you're able, plant some flowers in their honor and make your own Black Lives Matter garden.